Alright, I already brought you the all-new Flexvolt Advantage drill driver. That thing was beastly. If you haven't seen that video, I'm going to put an end card at the end of this video. You can check it out. But today we have to talk about the all-new Flexvolt Advantage 7 1/4 circular saw. That's right, just like the hammer drill, this is the Flexvolt Advantage circular saw. You can use a 20-volt battery, or for 77% more power, you can use that sexy flexi. And what do I mean by the sexy flexi? That's right, the Flexvolt battery. You can put this on here and it'll work in conjunction with the saw. So this is what we're going to do today. We're going to take the all-new circular saw, the Flexvolt Advantage. We're going to use and abuse, slice and dice. We're going to use it with a 20-volt max battery. Then we're going to switch it up to a Flexvolt battery. We're going to see what the difference is, if it offers more power, if it handles better, or whatever. But we're really going to dive into this. We're going to open up the box. We're going to see what it can do. We're going to see what comes with it. We're just going to use it and abuse it. We're going to put it to the test and see if it's really going to hold up to that Flexvolt name. But before we do that, if you like videos like this, if you like power tools and want to see the new ones out on the market and how they work, don't forget to get subscribed, hit that bell notification so you don't miss out on any new tools coming your way. Well, you do get the Dewalt 7 1/4 24 tooth blade, but no edge guide, so that's kind of a bummer. However, you do got the included tool, so let's put our blade on. Alright, so we got the blade on. There's a couple things right off the bat I'm happy to see. You got the rafter hook here. Even though it's not huge, still throw it on your sawhorse, no problem. It's going to hang for you. I'm also super happy to see that they included the positive stops on this. Now you got a massive 57-degree bevel on this. You also have those positive stops at the 22.5 and the 45-degree marks. And when I say positive stops, check this out. That's not even locked down. These things are awesome. You click it right in, it goes where it needs to go, and then you lock it. That's it. I'm happy to say they work real nice like. And just like every other Dewalt saw that I've used, once you lock them down, they're not going anywhere. Now, even though this does not come with an edge guide in the box, well, you can still put an edge guide on it. So it's not a big deal. I have extra ones. You just toss it on the side, you can screw them down, and you're good to go. I also want to throw out there that on the positive stops, well, you don't have them on your depth adjustment, which isn't a big deal to me because I don't use that feature anyway. I always use the positive stops out front when I'm trying to make my bevel cuts, but as far as it goes with depth, I'm fine with that as well. That said, I just wanted to throw that out there because that might be a big deal for you, just not for me. So let's move it along. Now, I also want to throw out, it is not the smoothest adjustment out there. You can feel a little bit of resistance, not to the point that it matters that much, but I'm just letting you know, throw a little bit of WD-40 on there, I think you'll be okay. But you lock it down, it's definitely not going anywhere. Now, I know I didn't mention this, but I should. It's pretty easy to see, but this is a right-handed blade. It's not on the left, so some people like it on the left, some people like it on the right. I usually use saws with the blades on the left because I like to see that line of sight, but my issue has become I'm getting a lot of debris in the face, and I don't like that. So with that discharge on the right, I'm starting to actually go with the right bladed saws lately, and it takes a little time to adjust to it, but it's been working out for me. And on the line of sight for here, well, you can see they put a pretty nice sized notch right there. So even if you are right-handed and you're using this saw with the blade on the right, you're still able to see your line of sight and where you're cutting. Now, before we start the slicing and the dicing, I want to talk to you about the build quality. So the grip right here feels good, just like any other Dewalt tool. You got those ribbed edges right here, so that's going to allow you to hold on to this even with your hands being wet. The guard out here, that's all metal. I'm happy to see that. There's no plastic. It's pretty heavy duty, and it's going to last you a long time. You also got that handle right here that's going to allow you to maneuver this and control this saw. It's not a worm drive style, so it's a little bit lighter, a little bit easier to control in my opinion, and all in all, it's a pretty nice build. It's somewhat pretty light for a circular saw. All right, that's all fine and dandy, but what about power? That's what you're here for. Don't worry, we're going to talk about specs. We're going to tell you everything you need to know about this as we are using and abusing the slicing and the dicing. All right, we're going to start out using the saw with the 4AH 20-volt battery. But what are we going to slice and dice? All right, so we got a bunch of different material. We got MDF to test the discharge. I want to see if it does a good job, if there's any clogging. That's the way to do it. Why? Because MDF is the freaking devil. Alright, so what all do we have to slice and dice? Well, we have some 2x4s, we have some treated 2x6, but the biggest test is going to be this treated 6x6. Don't worry, I'll show you that here soon, but let's get with that MDF first. Alright, let's start out cutting the MDF. Now, MDF is an easy material to get through, especially when you got a 24 tooth blade. It's going to be simple. Now, even though this stuff is pretty simple to cut through, it still might bog down. Let's try it with the 20 volt and then we'll try it with the 60. Alright, again, no problem with the 20 volt. Now that said, we are getting a little sag. One more cut. Alright, so far so good. The discharge blowing that nasty MDF away from the face. And here is a different view just to show you how well that side discharge works. Very, very good. So even with the MDF, I noticed that there is some sag in this saw with the 4AH 20 volt battery. This is where this FlexVolt is going to shine. Now, a lot of people talk about they put FlexVolt batteries on their other 20 volt tools and there were some issues with them and blah, 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 blah. I've never had that issue, but I never really used them on my other tools, so I can't really say that for a fact. But these Flexvolt Advantage tools are specifically meant to be used with the FlexVolt batteries. They're going to give you more power, a lot less sag. Let me show you the difference between cutting through the MDF with the 20 volt compared to the 60 volt battery. Listen to this. That is a massive difference in power, and that is why we needed to talk about this circular saw. If you are somebody that wants to work a little bit quicker, you are quick on the trigger and just able to zoom, slice and dice and do all that fun stuff, and you don't have to worry about it bogging down this, I'm telling you, this power. This is why I love the Flexvolt tools, because they are just beastly. But what's nice about this is if you are not in the 60 volt line, you can still use this saw with your 20 volt tools, no issue at all. But if you do happen to have one of these bad boys laying around, you're out on the construction site or you just need more power around the house or wherever you're working, this saw works perfectly in conjunction with that 60 volt. That's why they call it the Flexvolt Advantage. All right, so let's talk about you framers out there. Somebody is going to build a room or a wall or whatever you're doing. You're using 2x4s or 2x6s. I think with the 20 volt battery, you're going to be fine. You're going to have more than enough power. Here's the specs right here. My friends, I was just too lazy to go ahead and read off all those specs to you, but this is straight off the Acme Tools website. I'll also put a link in the description below for you to check out the saw for yourself. And my friend, while you're reading those specs, feel free to go ahead and smash that like button. It'd be greatly appreciated. 5,500 RPM, that's real nice like. Let's move it along. Alright, let's move it along to the Pine 2x4. We're gonna slice and dice with that 4AH battery. All right, obviously no issue at all going through those 2x4s, and that's real nice like. Treated 2x6. And if you haven't noticed by yet, you got that sweet LED light. But now the test begins. We're gonna go with the 4AH battery down this treated 6x6. It has been sitting outside in the fall weather for the last 3 weeks, and I'll tell you, it's a little moist. But here we go, 4AH. Oh, she's a struggling. Oh my, she stopped. What to do, what to do? Working that hard, it just takes that battery, drains it down, just sucks all the life and the power right out of it. Now we're going to try it with the 60-volt battery. We're going to see if it can slice and dice down through this without any issue. Huge difference with that 60-volt sexy flexi. Let's do it again. It's just taking that treated 6x6 and spitting it right out the side. And not only that, you can run it one after another after another. Check this out. No issue with any clogs on that. Usually this is where they start clogging up on these saws, when you start running them down through these nasty 6x6s, and obviously you're probably not going to do that, but this is putting it to the test. That's why we do this on the channel. But no clog, everything was just spit out on the side. Very, very happy with that. Not only that, when it comes to the sag, very little, and it was still able to just eat its way through that 6x6. We went full blade down, right? We didn't even bring that depth up. We didn't take a couple passes. We went full blade all the way down through that treated 6x6, and it just blistered its way through it. Now, a couple other things I want to mention. The blade stop, you got the electronic blade brake. As for your base, you know, you do have that stamped metal, so they are a little bit tough to see. They're not very prominent. So I'm just throwing that out there. If you have issues with your eyes, well, you might struggle with that a little bit. I mean, all in all, it is just a beastly saw, and this is why I appreciate the Dewalt saw so much. With that Flexvolt battery, man, you're not bogging down. You were just slicing and dicing. It is a powerful, powerful saw. But if you don't have the Flexvolt batteries, or if you just don't want to use them because they're a little bit heavier, you're just cutting through some 2x4, then the 4.0, the 6AH, whatever, that is going to do just fine for you. It's comfortable in the hands, it's pretty light, it's easy to use, and the other thing I like about this, even though that line of sight's not bad, once you start your line and you start going, it'll follow that line. So it's pretty good. There's no wobble on this blade, there's nothing. It just cuts, and tell you what, man, Dewalt saws, they do it right. So there you go, all. I am really impressed with this saw, and that is how that Flexvolt Advantage saw is basically working. It's working in conjunction with that sexy flexi battery, and it is just a beast. So if you get a chance, check it out. Now, I want to know what you think. Leave me a comment in the comment section below. What do you think about this saw? What do you like about it? What would you change about it, if anything? Love hearing your feedback. And if you could smash that like button, well, that would be greatly appreciated. Also, get subscribed, hit that bell notification so you don't miss out on any new tools coming to the market. With that, we'll be back with more videos soon.